Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to welcome to the nation's capital my Secretary of State, Wes Allen. Sir, you mentioned in your testimony that the foundation of election integrity is voter maintenance. And I know that you mentioned that you withdrew Alabama from the ERIC organization and replaced it with AVID, Alabama Voter Integrity Database, to partner with state agencies to identify individuals to purge from the rolls. Last year, you led an effort to clean the rolls in Alabama by directing the Board of Registrar, to remove registered voters that were, quote, non-citizen identification number, end quote, by the Department of Homeland Security. Shortly after implementing this purge, a group of civil rights organizations challenged, sir, your voter purging program in court. And do you know, sir, what percentage of voters that you purge were actually U.S. citizens and should be eligible to vote versus not being eligible?
Well, I'm extremely proud of my staff who worked to implement this program. And I will say that
it was 93%, 93.8% of the 3,251 voters that were purged from the rolls were actually U.S. citizens and should have been eligible to vote. Federal courts have acknowledged that relying solely on databases like the State Department of Homeland Security, state DMV databases, and the Federal Systemic Alien Verification for Entitlement database can, quote, have a very high rate of inaccuracy. How will you ensure, sir, first of all, is the voter purge program still ongoing, and how do you ensure that you're actually capturing voters that should be ineligible?
Well, I will say that our staff is working extremely hard to make sure the voter file maintenance is top of mind each and every day when we come into the office, and we will continue to make sure that only United States citizens are on Alabama voter files.
Yeah, you know, that's the law, that only American citizens can vote. How much did it cost to defend that program in court? Do you know? How much money did you guys spend?
I don't have that number. But
well, all I can say is that Alabama taxpayers shouldn't be paying for a program that has shown such a high rate of inaccuracy. And while I totally understand the importance of making sure that every person who is on the voter roll is eligible, I think that there are better ways to do that than voter purging. Mr. Allen, Secretary Allen, you also mentioned in your written testimony that the state banned ballot harvesting last year. The state legislature passed an initiative that would criminalize people for assisting others with their absentee ballots. For example, if someone pays their family member to actually take their ballot, to deliver their ballot, that person would be, that assistance would be criminally charged. And I'm not sure if that was the intent, but I can tell you that several of my constituents called me in fear of voting absentee because they were afraid of it being rejected for simple reasons like, you know, not being able to provide the ballot themselves, but actually having a family member deliver it. Can you give us assurances that we in Alabama can actually, you know, make it easier for voters to access the ballot box? I mean, we're one of 3 states that don't have early voting, so I think it's really important that we get it right.
Yes, ma'am. The right to vote is sacred, and what that bill did was to protect absentee voting. Paid political activists should not be involved in manipulating the absentee process. And
I hear what you're saying, but these are family members who are trying to help their elderly parents actually vote, and they shouldn't be in fear of you know, of actually turning in a ballot if they have to borrow money from their mother to actually get to the post office or to get to the agency, to the voting registration office.
There's no need to fear. You know, we mimic federal law. If anybody's disabled, they can have anybody that they choose to help them with the application. It doesn't pertain to the ballots themselves. It's already illegal in Alabama for anyone to return a ballot for anyone else. SB 1 specifically talked about the application portion of the absentee ballot process, and it did that. It protected the absentee process.
Well, sir, I think that both of us, given the great history, the amazing history that occurred in our state, we really owe it to every Alabamian to make sure that not only are they eligible to vote, they have access to the ballot box. Having said that, Secretary Thomas, I note that you all passed a voter a state-level Voting Rights Act in 2023. I know I'm about to run out of time. I wanted to ask if she could just answer one question with respect to that.
Go right ahead.
Sure. Can you talk just a little bit about this initiative and how it will make it easier for folks to vote, your new law?
Sure. So the Connecticut Voting Rights Act passed last session to codify some of the elements of the National Voter Rights Act, such as pre-clearance, making sure that materials related to voting were provided in languages in communities that were majority in certain languages. It also provides a great transparency for members of the public. They can access statistics and data about voting in their communities via a GIS system. So in Connecticut anyway, it passed handily, and many
And implemented in 2024 election.
Not the Voting Rights Act, other than the language access, but we did implement early voting in 2024.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Madam Chair,
Secretary.
for indulging me. I also have, would ask unanimous consent to submit several articles to the record.
Without objection, so ordered.